The Wilson Triton is non-conforming. That's what we've been told. Learn a little bit more next. Welcome back to the McGolf shop. And as you've seen on the news, you've heard that the driver versus driver, the one that made the cut, is non-conforming. And that's true. USGA has ruled in two sections of why the 10.5 and the 12 degree driver are non-conforming. The 9 degree is fine. They said in the first one that it is not traditional in shape on the sole plate. Now I have a 9, I have a 10.5, and I have a 12 degree. And I'm going to flip the camera around. I'm going to show you what they look like from the back, and you tell me. Because they said they had to adjust the sole plate within millimeters. Okay, millimeters. That's kind of unique in that I guess it's all in the eye of the beholder and what traditional is. Because if you look at this, I'm thinking this is really much in that non-conforming shape, but they approved this one. So why they wouldn't approve the Tritons, I don't know. It's not for me to guess them. It's just for me to make sure that when we build these clubs that they're conforming. Now, the other one is that when you place the 12 gram, and we'll come around and get that again. When they place the 12 gram weight in the toe with one of the weight configurations, the contact time, it's one of the rules, just like instead of using core, coefficient of restitution, contact is a measurement of the springiness of the face, and it was just a little bit over the limit. That was the word that we got, a little bit over the limit. Now, if you were to put the 12, I have the 12 gram right here. If you're going to put the 12 gram in the toe with any other configuration, that would tend to lean you to come into the club face open. I don't know too many people that would want the 12 gram on the toe. I don't know why we would put it there, but it's one of the configurations. They tested it, Wilson didn't, and it was just a little bit higher. So their reasoning, or the way that they make it conforming, is to take the 12 gram out of the pack. Now I don't know if a 10 gram would have been okay, but I do believe that we do need the heavy weight. So let's address the weight issue first, and then that way you can see the other one second. This thing comes with two 2 grams, two 6 grams, and one 12 gram weight, along with the heavy plate and then with the light plate. And what you do is you remove all 3 of these screws, you remove the plate, put another one on, put all 3 screws back in whatever configuration you want. Traditionally, if you have a hard time getting the face closed, you would put the heavy weight here or here with the next heavy weight in the opposite with the lighter weight here to help you close the club. Now, this already has a slightly closed face on it, so a lot of this, if you guys are slicers, man oh man, here you are. However, unless you were totally hooking it off the planet, I can't see where this 12 degree would go into here. Which raises the question is, if it conformed in every other setting, can you keep the 12 and just not put it out here and have somebody check and be allowed to play? I don't know if anybody's ever asked that question or not, because truthfully, I like my 12 gram weight and I like it right in the back. It helps me get the ball in the air because this is kind of a lower hitting club, lower spinning club, and this just helps me when I was hitting it. So that's a question to ask the manufacturer's. Fact, I might ask Mr. Verska himself. The contact time, what they do is they take this and they put this head in a clamp. For those of you who don't know, let's go back a little bit. Contact time. It used to be that they would take the head like this and they would shoot a pinnacle ball at it 100 miles an hour. And they were monitoring how it rebounded off. If it came out greater than 83 miles an hour, it was illegal. Well, you know, if players, let's just say one player didn't like another player and he thought he was running with a hot club, he'd say, hey, this thing's a little hotter than it should be. I'd like to see it tested. Well, then they'd have to disassemble it. Now the magic's gone, and the pro would never want it back. So now what they came up with is contact time. So you can put the whole club assembled into a clamp like this, and then it raises an arm to a pivot point, much like a trebuchet kind of thing, or just like a hatchet that comes down like this. And there's a sensor on the end of this, on the end of the hitting area, and it measures contact time in microseconds. Okay, and you get a certain amount of microseconds plus or minus its inaccuracy. So if it's above that, it means that it spent a little bit too much time on the face and it's springy. And that way, when it's clamped in here, it's mobile, so you can do it on site right away and tell whether or not you have an issue or not. And it kept the club intact. It was actually a pretty good idea. So when you move the 12 gram, you move all this around, you put the 12 gram weight right into here, all of a sudden the contact time got a little higher. And I'm trying to figure out how that made a difference. If it's truly just clamped in one spot, how that could possibly be, but it's a center of gravity moving. Now, I don't, the old philosophy of it takes 10 grams to move the center of gravity around the club, which means that, and that's dynamically, okay? I don't know if that means just by holding it. That's another question to ask Mike. I'm coming up with all these good questions while I'm talking to you. So we're going to have to take a look at that. Okay. Then the second one is it's traditional in shape. So they're going to move this piece back. Now, how are you going to tell if you got a good one or you got a bad one? Well, I'm going to pop up a picture here. You see where that is, where it says DVD, driver versus driver? That's going to be the conforming plate now. So if you see the Triton with the conforming plate, then you know you got it. So let me come around here and I'm going to show you the different ones, and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so on the left is the 9 degree, in the middle is the 10.5, and on the right is the 12 degree. I'm going to try and give you a little bit of a scan. That's probably a better picture. Then you have that one. And then 12 degree. So I'm not real certain how much we have to trim, but that's where it's at. So bottom line is, yes, the USGA said it was non-conforming, and this seems kind of silly, doesn't it? It seemed kind of off, don't I? There we go. So they said it was non-conforming, and it was for the shape. And basically it's this little piece right back in here. And I think if you look at it from another, I don't know if you can see right there, there's a little bit of a hole right there. So maybe they're saying because this wing sets up, that's what's non-conforming. The unfortunate part is that this is the 9, that's the 12, and this is the 10.5. So, it looks normal to me, but I don't measure in the millimeters when it comes to looking at the heads. I trust the USGA in that they're going to tell me what's right and what's wrong. So we're going to get a new plate. That's going to make it conforming to the traditional in shape. And then they're going to remove, let's hit this one, which will look like this one. And if you look at this one, it's the one that's gray. The one that's black is the 2 gram, and the one that is red is the 6 gram. So I don't know if they're going to replace it, but it's happening even as we speak. You can go to the Wilson website and ask to have the plate/weights exchange. That's right there on their website. I'll probably put a link down below in the show notes. And there's the Triton. So if you've bought it, don't panic. If you're wondering about it, don't panic. It's still a decent club. Actually, it's better than decent. It's actually a really good club, especially with the Rogue shaft in it. Keep in mind, it's a very expensive shaft, and the price point on this driver isn't that bad. I've had some guys hit it, every one of them with some success. I've done a few fittings and thrown this in there with it. I've done very well with this. This thing hits pretty good, it's surprisingly so. In fact, the last guy didn't even notice the sound. So, keep your eyes and ears open. May have post something underneath when they finally deem it to be conforming. And so Wilson is a good company. They've been around for 100 years, and they've never done anything like this before. I give them kudos for doing the driver versus driver. First time, the kind of a marketing ploy for that, and it turned out that they came out with a really good driver. And the fact that they had to wait very, very close to the release date because they didn't want to give up who was going to be the winner. It's kind of a pickly situation. So we live and learn. So the next time that this happens, they'll know to test every component of it, and it shouldn't happen again. And again, thanks for watching. If you like more of this information, subscribe. If you like the video, like. And again, let's see your scores go low.